Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Marina Ray. Today I just want to fill you guys in on what I read in the month of July. The month of July was a pretty good reading month for me. I did read 9 things, which is a little bit better than usual. Usually I average from 6 to 8 books in a month. I did read 9, slightly better than normal. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So I read Snot Girl. I read this for the Booktubeathon, but it did fall into the July because it was on July 30th. That I completed this, and it was fantastic. It did have some plot holes. This is about a fashion blogger with some insecurities, and she has just a lot going on in her life, and she feels the need to just always be on top of things, always be on top of social media, and just the world that we live in is so full of social media. It just goes to show, like, if you don't get a like on this, or if you get only so many likes on that, it really does affect you mentally, which is why I don't do a lot of social media, why I'm not like totally 100% active on there, because I already deal with self-esteem issues. Why would I want to put myself through more? A lot of stuff happens to her. Some really weird stuff begins to happen to her. It's confusing in this first one. To be honest with you, I don't even know what's going on right now, but I did talk to a few friends of mine that have read the second book in the series, and they say that questions do get answered, most of them. So all the plot holes hopefully will eventually begin to make sense further into the series. I'm hoping it will, because as of right now, the artwork alone is 5 stars for me. The artwork is beautiful. I love it. It's colorful. It's vibrant. Everything that you would want in a graphic novel, art-wise, is right here. Yeah, so I give it 5 stars. Hopefully the story will work itself out. If not, it will probably not be a 5-star series for me, but I have high hopes for it because I really enjoyed this. So yeah. Another book that I read in the month of July was A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I told you guys that I was super excited to get to. I loved this so much. I am forever a Sarah J. Maas fan. I put her on auto buy. Anything she creates for however long I'm alive, I will buy. Holy moly, this book was actiony, it was steamy, it was romantic, it was the character development, the world development is amazing. It's about this girl named Farah, and she is a hunter. She has to hunt to keep her family fed. They solely rely on her, so she's out in the woods hunting for something for them to eat because they're basically starving, and there's a wolf trying to get the deer that she has her eyes on, and she ends up killing the wolf and the deer. Well,
killing the wolf was a big mistake,
because then this high fae beast thing comes to her house and takes her away to a place called Perithian, and Perithian is the fae area of the world. He basically says, hey, you killed one of our fairy high fae people, you're gonna stay with me. So she's in this place, but then she begins to feel feelings for Tamlin and the high fae that whisked her away there, and it just gets so good. It gets so good. There's this thing that's growing over the fairylands, and it's putting the fairyland and the mortal land at risk, so Feyre has to find out how to fix it being immortal with high fae help. As if you didn't already know from the raving just now, I did give this a 5 out of 5 stars. As soon as Booktubeathon was over, I immediately began reading A Court of Mist and Fury, and I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked to just read everything that Sarah J. Maas puts out. Oh, she's great. Another book that I read in the month of July was Illuminae, and as you guys know, I was putting off reading this book for forever. It has sat on my bookshelf for basically forever and a day, and I finally picked it up, and wow, am I so glad that I did. This, along with A Court of Thorns and Roses, was 2 of my most favorite reads this year. I'm not a huge fan of sci-fi, so to say that I enjoyed a sci-fi book that much just amazes me. It was just so cool. The format, this was unique. It was cool. There's like a rivalry going on over a planet. The planet that Katie lives on, which is our main protagonist, gets invaded. So they have to leave the planet, get on these warships, and they're all trying to just make it to this one safe place. As if her world being invaded wasn't enough, is in the middle of a fight with her boyfriend when it happens. So it just makes everything else more crazy. Plus, there is this plague going around, and it's super contagious, and they're all cooped up on these ships. with the plague. So it's just like a lose-lose battle. But Katie is awesome, and Katie is a bad A. So she tries her darndest to fix everything. And it's just really good. I'm really excited to read Gemini. I loaned it out at the library, but I'm not going to read it. I think I'm just going to buy it because I don't know why I didn't think to buy it anyway. Give this 5 stars because it was great. Then I read Roald Dahl's book of ghost stories, and I was so excited. Okay. And I was so excited to read this because your girl is a sucker for a good ghost story. However, these stories would not have scared my 4-year-old daughters. I give this a 1 star. This is what happens. Roald Dahl, you know, the author of Matilda and other books, wanted to make a TV show back in like the 60s. A TV show that consisted of ghost stories and scary tales and creepy stories and stuff like that. So basically he went on search for the 12 scariest stories that he could find. He read through supposedly hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scary stories, none that scared him, until he came across these 12. So anyway, they basically told him, the big people at the TV, I don't know, the big TV people, I don't know. They told him, yeah, heck yeah, write us a pilot episode up and we will put this show on there and we will make millions. The pilot episode was an episode dealing with like an exorcism and like something to do with Catholicism. And back in the 60s, they were like, no, what are you doing? You're crazy. Absolutely not. So he didn't want the hundreds of stories he read through to be in vain. So he put the 12 or 14 stories that he thought to be the scariest ever into this little tiny book. Some stories are a page long. Some stories are 30 pages long. All stories were terrible. None of these fazed me. They actually just fell flat, and it felt like it's not like someone was telling me a story while they were on acid, to be honest with you. It was not fun to read, and it put me in like a week-long slump. I would have gotten more read this month had I not been in a slump due to this book. Giveaway! Then I read Karela, which I absolutely loved. I give this 4 out of 5 stars. It's a Cinderella retelling. It's really neat. She works in like a vegan food truck, like shaped like a pumpkin. They call it like the pumpkin or something like that. Her dad died. She lives with the ugly stepmother and stepsisters. Her dad, however, though, before he died, started a Comic-Con, and she wants to really go there because she is in love with this show that's kind of like, I think, a knockoff of like Star Wars. Like, I think, don't hold me to that, Star Wars, Star Trek, something like that. Then she finds out that this heartthrob teen celebrity is playing the main character that she's in love with, and she's pissed about it. But then she goes to the Comic-Con and everything changes, and oh my gosh, it's about her wanting to win the Comic-Con. Things happen that she never thought would happen. The stars were aligned for her, so I love it. I loved it. It was cute. It was fluffy. It was nerdy. It was everything you'd want in a YA book. It was good. Then I listened to the audiobook for Mary Poppins, and that book was not for me. Had I listened to that when I was younger, like maybe in middle school or even elementary school, I would have probably loved it. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't enjoy the audiobook. I haven't ever seen Mary Poppins the movie, so maybe that has something to do with it. The audiobook was okay. It was just really hard to understand. The accent was very thick on the narrator, and she was trying to make it thick, so it was really hard to listen to and really understand. I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. I will be probably letting my kids listen to that, especially my oldest son, maybe for his homeschooling literature. He can listen to that, or he can read it, or I can read it to him, something like that. It was okay. It was alright. It wasn't a waste of time, no. Will I ever want to read another Mary Poppins book? No. For the fun of it? No. The last book that I got to in July was Geralds Game by Stephen King. I wanted to read this because I saw the movie on Netflix and it intrigued me. Oh my gosh. I listened to it on audiobook, which made it even more creepier than probably had read it. But wow, that book messed me up. There's some dark places in that book that I resonated a little bit with too much. So that could be why I gave it 3 stars. It's about this wife and husband who have a really like rocky relationship. He's a successful lawyer. They've been married a long time. Things are just not hopping anymore. They decide to go off to this like getaway night, and they're in the middle of some hanky panky, and he croaks, and she's stuck, handcuffed to the bedpost for a while. And whoa, like the things that you find out that happened in this girl's life, I had to almost stop reading this, but I had become so invested into the main character's life that I wanted to know how it ended for her. I wanted to see a good ending for her. I will say though, it was a really good book 3/4 of the way in, but the ending to me was unrealistic, and I felt like Stephen King, I'm not going to say he should have went a different route, because he's like he's an author king, like Stephen King, you know. His name says it all. Like, he's literally a king in the literature world. So I'm not going to say that he did it wrong. I'm just going to say I was expecting something different, and it was just unbelievable, unrealistic for me. I don't know. I gave it 3 stars. I did like the movie. The movie didn't go into as much detail as the book did, which I really appreciated. Yeah. This girl has so much that she goes through. She's got past things that have happened to her. She's got mental issues from it, of course. Who wouldn't? So yeah, guys, that's what I read in the month of July. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. So I will see you guys later.